Welcome to Prismacast episode 11. We're the podcast that talks about art through historical and contemporary means. On November 15th, 2017, Leonardo da Vinci's Salvator Mundi sold for $469.7 million, making it the most expensive painting sold to date. Good morning / evening, Michael Kay.
Good morning / evening, Kris.
This is stupid.
This is rough. We're having a real rough day on the Prismacast side of life. It's real rough right now.
We had an adorable back and forth about good morning / good evening, and now the magic's lost, so... But this is how we greet each other now.
Yes, it is, with a slight bit of sarcasm and a little bit of deadpan disappointment. But I will say, we have had every single thing that could possibly go wrong today thrown at us, so we're still smiling. We're hoping you are too. And what are we talking about today, Kris?
We are talking about art gallery / museum etiquette.
And why is this shit important?
Because a lot of people are already uncomfortable in these spaces if they are not familiar with art to begin with and don't know how to act in a gallery. I said that like there's people like dragging their knuckles into art museums. That's not, I mean, I'm sure there's like a couple, but the majority is just a lot of people is like, how loud do I talk? What do I wear? What do I do? Yeah, so I think this is something that I've had a lot of people ask me over the years about, and so we want to help you guys feel more comfortable and confident in your ability to properly museum visit.
And we just want you to have a good time. Like that's kind of one of the reasons why art gets created is, as we talked about in a couple of previous episodes, entertainment value is high. We do want you to look and be able to see, ideas and concepts and how these apply to society and your life and etc. But really, we want you to go in and have fun and have an enjoyable experience, just like investing in your area or another areas or another cultures.
Exactly. Yes. So, I think where we should start is before the gallery. Because the biggest question I've gotten, I don't know if you've ever been asked this, but it's like, what do I wear to a museum? And I think this depends on a lot of factors, but mainly, is there an event going on and what gallery you're going to? I'm personally someone who likes to dress up for art museums because I feel like someone worked really hard on that piece, so I should work hard to present myself accordingly to it. Yeah, so I'm sure that I'm in the minority in that, but if it's like a exhibition opening or a First Friday situation, typically you should be dressing a little bit nicer, because usually the artist is there and it's more of an event. It's kind of like, it's like a premiere type situation. Not quite red carpet, but yeah, maybe if you're going to do jeans, do like dark wash, buttons ups, nice dresses, nice shoes, that sort of thing. So the other option is like if you are just a tourist and you're going to a museum on vacation, I think it's perfectly fine to just wear jeans and a t-shirt. I would say that some museums are inside churches, especially over in Europe. For women, it's a little bit more conservative. A lot of places you need to have your shoulders covered, your skirts need to be, I would say, about the knee length or longer. Try not to be too boobalicious, even if you got them and you want to rock them. So when I was over in Europe, I just bought like a shawl because it was May in Italy. It got hot. So I was wearing a tank top, but I had a scarf to like cover my shoulders and still be modest inside churches so I didn't make people uncomfortable. So yeah, it's a little bit of doing some research ahead of time, but for the most part, unless there's an event going on, jeans and a t-shirt are fine, whatever you're comfortable wearing, unless it's an I'm with stupid shirt. You shouldn't wear those ever.
Please don't wear those ever. Yeah.
Don't wear those ever. So yeah, I think that's the most important thing when you are preparing to go to the art gallery. What is the next thing that we should look into as far as gallery etiquette?
Well, since we started talking about dress, I think it's only fair to also mention the how shall we say, the nasal space. I think that it would be appropriate to not perfume people out of the room. Make sure that what you're wearing scent-wise is also, matching the area where you're going. So if you're going to an itty-bitty little gallery, you really don't want to wear
Chanel
much,
number 5.
if any. Yeah, Chanel number 5.
Or don't wear it ever.
Yeah, definitely maybe, think about going with your own natural scent with deodorant. Please, God, wear deodorant. But that is also, if you're going to a confined space, you guys are going typically to a building that has 4 walls that are white, and it's just filled with objects to art. And sometimes you have little hallways that are also decorated for, viewing pleasure. So you don't want to go someplace and have everybody be offended.
Yeah.
By your sense.
So, by your existence in the room. I actually went to the Monet exhibition in Denver a couple weeks back, and it was packed. The appointments were completely full, so it was like standing room only. I mean, it's typically standing room only in a museum, but it was packed. And there was like a variety of smells, and I was unfortunately stuck behind a woman who was just doused in something.
It's rough.
To the point where at the end of, I had a hard time focusing on the art at one point because I started to get a headache, and all I could think about was how bad my head hurts because I am smelling this woman who has no idea that she probably is suffocating other people around her with her perfume. So that is a good mention.
Yes. Wear deodorant. Wear
deodorant.
That's all we have to say. It's true. Next item on the list.
Photography.
Oh, yes.
I think is a big one.
Yeah, photography. Because this one gets tricky because some galleries allow you to take photos of wall informational pamphlets, and then that sends you to a link that you can then, you scan it, and it sends you to a link that you can then, enjoy an audio explanation by the artist that, talks about what, he or she did and why this came to them and what the concept really truly is about and what the viewer is supposed to take away. So there are really cool informational things that you can do with your phone when you go to a gallery, but generally...
Yeah, and I think this is where the attendings come into play because it does vary from museum to museum, gallery to gallery. Some galleries don't want you to take photography either because of the integrity of the work, or some of the artists are worried about theft, like idea theft, or just straight up copyright issues. So they'll say no, you can't take any photos of the photography, or any photos of the photography, that as well, but photos of the artwork in general.
Sure.
But then some are okay with it. So the Denver Art Museum, for example, and by the way, the attendings are pretty easy to spot. They're usually wearing black slacks. They are looming in corners of the room looking at you, not the artwork. That is a key thing. They are watching you for a lot of reasons. And so, yeah, it's totally fine to go up and ask them and say, am I allowed to photograph the artwork in here? And they'll either say yes or no. Most of the time, they'll say, no flash photography, because a lot of paints and prints, that flash can actually destroy the pigments and accelerate the aging process for the work. So it's just totally dependent. And the other thing, if it does allow photography and you are wanting to take photos of pieces that you really like, be quick. Do not try and get 1,000 because you are probably not alone in that gallery and there are people who are waiting to see that piece. And also, don't remember the artwork through the photography. This last time I took a lot of photos of Monet's because I wanted to research them afterwards because it was such a huge exhibition. I wanted to look up some of the pieces afterwards and learn more about the context of them. But yeah, take a quick flash and then enjoy the piece in front of you. That's the best advice, I think, in general, traveling, doing anything. Take photos if you want the memories, but still live in that moment.
True. But definitely do take a selfie when you enter. I feel like that's huge.
That is obligatory.
There's
building, usually cool.
Usually art things are in really cool looking buildings. We really love architecture, so that's something that we try to highlight when we show or when masters come to visit Their paintings are usually shown in buildings that are quite beautiful and majestic, so definitely consider taking a selfie outside before you enter the art museum. But definitely when you enter, I do recommend that the bag that you carry, there's usually a bag check-in to your left or right. Is. So if your bag is bigger than really a thimble, you should probably hand it over, because I feel like you can get away with a lot for a lot of works. Some works that you go to visit, there might be a jewelry exhibit in the corner, and because they're so small and intricate, they could easily fit into any size of bag or parcel. So they really want you to check your bag when you enter the art museum. So make sure that you abide by that guideline. If you don't see it initially, it's usually in the front somewhere. Sometimes it's hidden. Sometimes they don't care. Most of the time they care. So definitely look into that. If you don't know where it's at, ask a docent, because that's what they're there for. That's the gallery attendant, if you don't know.
That is, I did not know that word, so thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. I completely agree. And again, also you can do research ahead of time as well. Not related to the museum, but I went to a concert one time and we looked up the venue, and they said, like, you can't have purses. You can only have what's in your pocket. And I was like, oh, thank God, because we got there and there was no place to put that stuff. So if it is a place that's like, you can't have purses, backpacks, and we don't have a place to keep them, it's good to always look that up in advance, so that way you aren't in a position of like, well, what do I do now? Because I can't take my stuff in. Exactly. And if you are doing Uber or something, like, that kind of puts you in your fucked position.
I have heard there are places that have like gallery style lockers that you can put stuff in. I've never personally been to a gallery that has a check-in like that, but if you do carry a wallet or purse with you, make sure you have a couple coins, and you might be able to, take your key with you, leave your bag in there, and then traverse the gallery. And when you're done, return key, get bag, leave gallery. So
correct. So what is the next thing?
I think gallery maps can be huge, because you do have the person standing there when you enter, and they're handing out usually pieces of paper explaining the exhibits, kind of the layout where things are located. Sometimes it gives you like a rubric for where you need to travel. So we want you to start on this side. They'll point one general direction, and in that way you arc through all of the exhibits as you go through. But that's just a general, idea. It's not really like a standard. It's not a rule. So it's definitely, go at your own pace, figure out where you want to go. If there's a specific exhibit that you want to see, you can just skip to that. You don't necessarily need to go in the giant arc circle, but it is really fun to see work that you wouldn't normally go out of your way for. And when they curate these exhibits, it's really cool to see what they put next to each other and why. So
yeah. I mean, curation is a huge part. I mean, it's the reason why museums get to exist, because the curators are setting up a layout with purpose. So always take that in consideration, and the map is part of that. And the map is just also just to make it so much more convenient for you.
And if you need to find the bathroom, you can find the bathroom real fast. Yeah. So I feel like that is always a bonus. Just saying.
Yeah, and be aware, a lot of museums can be complicated because they're typically like an original older building that has had shit built on top of it. Yeah, so not everything is like a pre-made Guggenheim Louvre situation.
Which so beautiful, but also not quite normal, average.
Yeah, that's not the normal gallery experience, because, again, I will talk about the McNay. But it's originally a mansion, but they've added stuff onto it, so navigating it is not as obvious as you think it would be. So looking at the map is going to be super, super beneficial, and you can kind of skip it, like, I'm interested in this, not interested in that, and just go at your own pace, which I think leads to the next thing is, like, how much time should I spend in a gallery? Mm-hmm. And there's not a right or wrong answer here. If you are a zoomer, go ahead and zoom away. If you're someone who likes to mosey and take their time, you're okay to do that. I think the point where this gets a little complicated is if you are one type of gallery visitor and you are accompanying someone else who's the opposite of you.
Oh, that's always hard.
Yes. So, for me, I like to go to the Denver Art Museum every time I'm there, and typically my dad likes to go. He's not very interested in art, but he wants to spend time with me, so it's very thoughtful. Yeah, I know, but I take for fucking ever. I usually block out like an hour and a half to 2 hours in a museum on average for myself, whereas him, he looks at a piece, moves on. So it's a lot of times like he'll be waiting at the end for me. So I would say like if that's the situation, just have like a preset agreement between each other. But don't try and tell the other person like you need to savor it more, and don't tell the other person like you need to hurry up, because everyone experiences at their own pace.
Agreed. I like that. Zoomer or Mosier?
Yeah,
Which
Zoom
one
and
are
Mosey. Yeah, it's a Cosmo test. Go ahead and take it.
All the best things are?
Yep. Except theirs is about sex, not about galleries. It's different.
A little bit.
A little bit. And then the next question I get a lot, just while I'm in museums, is, can I touch it?
Oh, and I think that this is so important. It's like no touchy, no leany, no squeezing pasties, okay? Because those are all things that can damage or ruin artwork if anything should go south. And you shouldn't be planning for the best case scenario when you're going up to look at art. You should plan for the worst case scenario. Like, are you going to get a sun dust particle up in your nose, and are you going to need to cough and or sneeze? Like, what is going to happen to that artwork if all of a sudden something happens? Like someone pops. It's just bad. It's just plan like a Boy Scout. Don't get too close. Don't touch the thing. Don't lean on the thing. Don't squeeze past the thing, because stuff gets knocked over, stuff gets damaged, stuff gets broken, and stuff gets destroyed. And then other people can't view, can't appreciate, can't enjoy. So definitely that is kind of a huge no-no, and I'm glad you brought it up, because those are...
Yeah.
Nope.
Yes. Don't touch it. The only time you can touch it is if there's a big fucking sign that says, you may touch me.
Yes. And those will be clearly visible for you. People who want you to touch the artwork, they want you to touch the artwork. So
yeah. They'll make it very clear, like, this is an interaction with the artwork and you should be touching it. I've been to stuff where it's like you try on the artwork, which was actually really fun because it kind of felt like a dress-up situation. There was one where it was like it was sewn organs and they wanted you to touch the sewn items to feel like what's inside, and I was like, ooh, this feels wrong. But yeah, you know, when if they want you to touch it, it is very clear. Don't go biting the artwork. What else do we need to cover as far as gallery etiquette?
I think we did real good on the entrance experience. I think like your viewing experience, what you're supposed to be, disseminating as you go down. Of course, everything's going to be a little bit different. This is not, may deviate from our simple house rules. Add a couple more, whatever. But
yeah, these are by no means set in stone universal law.
Yes.
And it's going to be dependent on gallery by gallery, which is why, again, it's always good to ask the attendant because they're going to know. And also, not all galleries are going to be universally photographable. Maybe there's one gallery that is and one isn't. So always check in between galleries. What I do want to talk about is like if the artist is there, because I've had a couple of people who said like, can I talk to the artist if they're there? Yeah. That is what they are there for.
They would love to talk to you. They would adore it. They love talking about their work. And even if they don't love talking about it, they like seeing people's reaction to the work and asking you questions about your, ideas on it. So it kind of, it's nice. You're right. That's a good thing to bring up.
Yeah, and there are some rules of thumb here as far as talking to the artist. That gallery opening, because that's typically when you're going to see the artist there, is if it's an exhibition opening. Don't go up to them and give them a critique of their artwork. That is not the time to critique them. This is already something that they have spent months, sometimes years working on. They've already probably put it through the ringer. If you want to give a proper critique that gallery opening, not the time.
I will say, even if they're not an established artist and this is like a high school show or some type of thing, whatever, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where they stand in their career or where their hobbyist ideas are fluctuating from. It doesn't matter. Don't give them the critique. I will say, in 5th grade, I sang in front of a bunch of people for the first time ever, and it was a wonderful time. I had a great time. I did a solo. It was adorable. I was adorable. Everybody thought I was adorable, except for my best friend's dad. And he came up, and immediately after the show, he was like, you know, you're okay. You know, you're all right. You'd do much better if you got a few vocal lessons, because you don't really... And then he proceeded to tell me what I had done wrong during the performance, what I hadn't executed well. And that was probably one of the most frustrating things that had ever happened to me as a, 5th grader. So next year I was like, well, fuck it, whatever, I'll do what I want. I'll do it again. And so I did it again. And same gentleman came up, different song. I had done a duet this time. And he came up to us and was like, I really think if you're going to continue on with this, you should get vocal lessons. I didn't sing after that. Because one time, I feel like that's fine. A second time, I feel like that's like just degrading. That like is if you thought poorly enough of it the second time around that you had to comment on it, then maybe I wasn't destined for it. So if you're going to like a high school show, a middle schooler show, it doesn't matter. Events like that are supposed to be fun and they're supposed to inspire people. They're not necessarily meant to be the nitty gritty, this is what I want in life and this is my critique of da-da-da-da.
Yeah,
that's not what
that
is organized for. So definitely don't crush anybody's hopes and dreams. Like I didn't have any, I've never wanted a Grammy in my life, but I was doing it for fun and he kind of poo-pooed all over all of my ideas. So definitely that is one of those things that do not do. Thank you for bringing it up, Kris. I didn't really think about it in that context, but you're right. That is not the time.
Yeah, what you should go up to is like, of course, you can always ask first, like, hey, are you the artist? And then you can say, like, I enjoy your work or I find it interesting, but come up with something like a detail about it. Because it was really awkward when I've done exhibitions where someone's come up and is like, are you the artist? Yes. I like it.
Oh, good.
Okay. Is that it? Is that all you wanted to talk to me about? Do you have any questions about it? What I really enjoyed for me personally is someone going up and like, hey, I really like this particular piece. I felt like it was trying to say this, or this is how it spoke to me, and be like, that's really awesome. And having some sort of questions about, like, talk to me a little bit about your process or what inspired you to do this. Because that's what they're really there for, not to be like, I think that arm over there on that painting looks a little wonky, so just so you know.
It's true.
It's not my favorite.
It's rough.
Yeah.
It's rough.
Yeah. Be polite. And then the final thing I want to add, because I looked online a little bit, because it's like I kind of knew what I wanted to say, but I thought this was funny. Is like general gallery etiquette, and there's an article where number 1 says, don't get drunk.
Oh, that's important. That's important.
It seems obvious, but yeah, that probably should be on there because a lot of openings do have complimentary wine or beer. Mm-hmm. And,
snacks.
Yeah, don't get hammered, because I think that falls into you are no longer aware of the space around you.
Agreed.
And can start falling in, you can start talking really loudly. Again, you don't need to be shouting in an exhibition. Just like a talking voice or a little bit lower, depending on how busy the museum is. So that's, I would say, kind of leans into be aware of your presence in the space.
Agreed. I definitely, as you're enjoying the festivitous time and you're having a great opening, exhibition, whatever you're attending, even if you're not there I like to go during off hours because I'm that person. So I'll go like in the middle of the day when people take all their kids because I think that it's fun.
Yeah.
And definitely, if you have children, we didn't talk about children. I have one, but we didn't talk about them.
Ooh.
You can definitely take them to some galleries. Not all galleries. Almost all museums have child involvement interactive areas where you can take children to, and they can become, one with the art world in that way, and it becomes, a fun factoid for them, almost like an entertainment center. So there are things that kids can do. Just once again, make sure you research before you go and before you take your children, because there are a couple galleries in Las Vegas that if I had taken a small child to, it would have gone very poorly, because those rooms can sometimes, especially in high traffic areas and high volume areas, they can be stacked to the rafters with all sorts of artworks, and it's just so easy to knock some shit over, and then you apologize, but that doesn't do anybody any good, really.
Yeah, because it's now, it's done. It's happened. I also, like, with exhibitions openings, I notice those are typically, like, a child-free time, even if the gallery itself is typically child-friendly. But I think usually they'll explicitly say, like, this is no children, but I would say, like,
plus.
Yeah, also, especially if there's alcohol involved, or if it's, like, a more red carpet type of situation, but I feel like that's more, like, New York, LA, Paris gallery situation. The last thing that I want to touch on, and I should have mentioned this as far as, like, touching the artwork, but how, like, some tips for, like, experiencing the artwork to its fullest. I would say if you see something that you are particularly interested in, I would say spend at least 20 to 30 seconds in front of the piece, and experience it at different distances. I think one of my teachers had said, experience it, don't take this to heart, because some pieces you just can't do this, or rooms you just can't do this, but experience it from 2 inches, 2 feet, and 2 yards.
I like that. That is a good rule.
Yeah, and I think, like, the Monet that I saw really speaks to start. It's like it's fresh in my mind, but this is also a really good example of it, because his work has a lot of impasto, or it's like it's painted very thick, so the paint itself has a 3-dimensional aspect to it, and it's also impressionism, so how it looks from 8 feet away is totally different from how it looks when you are 3 inches away from it. And how close you can get to the work is going to be dependent on the gallery as well. Usually on the floor, there's, like, tape outlines around the work that says, like, you can't, I mean, it doesn't explicitly say, but it's an implied line of, like, don't put your face or anything past this point. And that's typically about 6 inches in my experience. So that way you can see...
You're going to go see the any type of Mona Lisa, in which case you screwed.
Yeah, because that is behind... What is that, like a 6-inch bulletproof glass case, essentially?
My jeez, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure it is beyond 8 feet, so you have to peer through the glass across 8 feet, and then it's hanging on a wall, a tiny speck in the distance.
Yeah, so some of them you just can't, but most of them...
just can't.
Most of them you're able to experience that at different levels.
Who's buying the Mona Lisa, though? I mean, really,
someone has stolen it
Nobody.
several times, so...
That is true.
Yeah.
They found a way, but really...
Do you think that whoever stole it originally actually liked the piece, or just liked how much it cost?
I think they just liked the prestige of it. They were like, oh my god, look.
A thrill steal?
A thrill. Well, even the thrill of selling it on the black market. Wouldn't that be exciting? Like, I got the big one.
That is true.
Look at me.
Yeah.
I'm good at my job. Hire me. Like, that's... But maybe that's just the artist in me saying, let's prove how great we are, and then everybody will want us. So,
yeah. You know what I would find impressive to steal, though? Like a Jeff Koons balloon animal sculpture, because those things are, like, 10 feet tall.
And they're, like, ceramic and enamel, and they're just so much work, and glass, and good luck, guys.
Yeah, good luck trying to not break that quietly. Yeah.
Quietly. Okay,
well,
and then my last thing, you got one? My turn. The gift shop. I feel like we should mention the gift shop.
We should mention it. Yes.
Most museums have one. Some galleries do. Most galleries want you to purchase the artwork, and that's the goal. But art museums, their collections are typically donated or are
borrowed
through the funding. Yeah, they're borrowed a lot. It's really cool to see how many people get together to make an exhibition work. A lot of the placards next to work will say who they borrowed the work from, what collection it's from. that's really interesting to me. I like to read all the placards because I'm a Mosier, not a Zoomer. I'll say I read all the placards.
I got you, girl. I got you.
We're together, Kris.
Yes,
we're together. But it's definitely one of those. They don't necessarily go out and purchase all these giant works. They do have funds by which they can purchase some works, but it's not like whole collections that they can then keep and tote out whenever they feel like it. It's usually borrowed works. So they're not really rolling in the dough in general. Yes, there's an admission price, but that really almost doesn't even cover having the lights on most days. So
yeah, it's a break even at best in most cases.
True. So when you go and you see a gift shop, spend a little bit of time in there. Maybe see if there's something that you'd like for yourself or maybe to gift. Once again, we talked about gift giving guides. One of those items was novelty items. A lot of museum gift shops have a lot of kind of tchotchke, kish type of items.
Oh, you say kish?
Whatever. We're all from different parts of the United States here for now. So there's definitely one of those, hidden in there that you can find that you can maybe gift to a friend or family member who loves art as much as hopefully you do. But it's definitely really chock full of fun stuff. Envelopes and cards, postcards, send your mom one, that just consider maybe spending a little bit more money there.
Yeah. And if you are an artist who's like, I want to refer back to the stuff in here, a lot of them will have like a gallery lookbook. They're typically expensive. Like I'm talking like $70 to over $100 in price. But I would say like if you're wanting to spend good cash and really help the gallery out and it's something that you're going to enjoy or someone that's going to enjoy it, that's a great investment. I completely agree with the postcards. I think postcards have a great resurgence right now. I like collecting them. So like I'll usually get a couple from whatever museum I'm at that'll have some sort of piece and then like I'll frame that as part of my home. So like I have a bunch of Dior dresses from an exhibition that I went to that I love looking at. They're postcards, let me clarify. I don't own
I was about to
Dior.
Say, good God, girl.
I own a Dior postcard in my bougie. Yeah. But yeah, I completely agree. There's some stuff that's a little bit more on the kitschy end, but there's also some stuff that's a little bit more classy or less obvious. Like I have a perfume bottle from like a 100 Years of Paris painting exhibition that I went to, and while it doesn't look exactly like this is a thing that looks like a painting, I look at that and I remember going to that thing, and that's nice, and it's not obvious.
And there are some museums, some galleries, but mostly museums will have little sections inside their gift shops, and they're tiny prints and tiny art-driven works. So the artist has created smaller concept works or smaller in size works that they have just given to the art museum or the art museum has paid them for, that they can then sell to patrons who come in and enjoy the exhibition and might not be able to afford the giant, wall-sized gallery works or the pedestal-sized. So there's definitely like a range of stuff that you can purchase from an art museum that ranges in, where it sits on the price range scale, where it sits on the, like, who you're going to give it to. So if you're going to give it to, like, your boyfriend or something, you might not want to get him like it depends on your relationship, but the socks with the Vincent Van Gogh's face on it. Maybe instead you want to get him the really cool sunset print because you went on this one time, you guys were on this date and you went whatever. Anyway, there's definitely a range of stuff. You just have to kind of sort through it. So definitely try to support your local or your visiting art museum's brick and mortar store by purchasing something from the gift shop. And if you do rifle through things, just follow the general, leave it better than they left it slogan. Make sure that it's nice. It doesn't look sorted through, because then you've just kind of taken the gallery attendant's time and wasted it, because now they've got to go back and fix what you looked through. But
yeah. Ooh, I think that's great. I have a question for you, though, since you are a gift shop peruser as well. What is your, like, what you would consider like your holy grail of gallery gift shop purchases?
I really don't buy a lot for myself. I usually gift. So I got a couple of, and that's why I say mini prints. I got a couple mini prints for my sister one year for Christmas, and she absolutely adored them, or at least she told me she adored them to my face. I don't think she's actually put them up, but she said that she liked them, so I'm gonna run with that. And
Nice.
I'm also a postcard purchaser whenever I visit anywhere. Like, when I went to Hollywood, I think that was the time when I went batshit crazy buying postcards, and I sent them to everyone. I think I was like, this is the Walk of Fame, and I know that it's not that whatever glamoury and ritzy, but I was like, someone took the time, and this goes back to the importance of art episode that we did, but someone took the time to sit down and organize and discuss and figure out how we're going to put these stars here. How big are they going to be? What's going to go in the center? What's the emblem? And how are we going to define one from another and make it unique still? So I think that was one of the most fascinating touristy things that I did in Hollywood. And I sent everybody like a postcard about it because I was fascinated and I thought it was interesting. So art in everyday life can be just as interesting, because you're 100% right. Postcard culture is coming back, but I don't think I've kept anything except for my scrapbook. And even then, I think it's like hidden in the back. I think I have a Blue Man Group postcard that I adored. It was real fun. It was a fun night. But for museums and galleries, I typically just buy... Like, I bought a couple of pen sets that were really, really pretty, and it was when, I think, Nick Cannon, is he the one who does the jangly suits?
Yes, it is.
I want to say it's Cannon, real bad, but I'm pretty sure that's a superstar who was the host of America's Got Talent for a little while.
You might be right. You might be right. We'll have to look that up.
Yeah, I'll put it in the show notes, because I don't remember his name, but he had a series of... Oh, it might not have been him even, and I just thought it was him.
I know his first name was Nick, for fucking sure, because I remember that exhibition was really cool. Okay.
He had a series of trinkets that I got, and just it's fun. It's just fun to sort through and look, and it's fun. Do it, guys.
I love it.
Go.
Yes.
Go to the art.
Go to the art. That is going to be our new slogan.
Go to the art.
So yeah, this is our gallery etiquette episode. I hope a lot of this is actionable stuff, and I hope this answers a lot of your guys' questions. Mm-hmm. If you do have questions, you know where to find us. And I had texted you that I wanted to do a little bit something different for this episode.
I liked it. Did we want to do a personal or public art moment?
I think it can be whatever means the most to you. So
that's tricky.
Well, you had 3 days to think about it.
Just 3. I had just 3. Do you guys hear this? She is running ripshot over me, and I'm just saying.
Look, I'm a bossy bitch. I just want answers now in 1 to 3 days' time. So, yeah, my question was, what was an artistic highlight for you in 2019?
So, for me, I'm going to go with my... personal, because it's faster and I feel like we're running out of time. So next time I'm gonna have to tell you my public one.
Ooh, okay.
Like that would be cool. Okay, so personally, I know every year your Instagram feeds get filled with Inktober shit, and I am deeply not apologetic about it. So
you shouldn't be. You should not apologize for your Inktobering.
I love Inktober. I feel like it's a time of year where all artists, like, regardless of where we stand or what prompt list we do, we just have fun. And it's like, Halloween is a time that is typically where your inhibitions drop, and I feel like it's the same thing with art making. So typically artists who are making like these highbrow, beautiful artworks, they get into the spirit of Inktober and they scratch out like a wolf man in the corner of their sketchbook, and it's super cool to just see like their raw, like dummied down process. They're like, oh, by the way, here's my Mothman. Like, they don't fucking care. And I think that that's exceptional, and it just gives me all the warm fuzzy feelies that I had when I was in college, and we were hanging out with all of our art friends and doing weird artwork, and we didn't care because it was one of those things. So This year, I sustained my goal. I completed another year. So in total, this makes 3 out of 4 years, which I completed. And to me, that's a big deal.
I'm proud of you. That is a big deal. Because I have never successfully completed Inktober at all. So anyone who does it, that is a different type of dedication. So,
well, and
good job.
I had my 1 year where I didn't do so great, but I'm even more proud that this also marks, I try to set a book goal every year and read more and more books each year, and I have also met that goal for 5 years running now. So I'm really, I feel like my time is going in real good places, and I'm just thrilled to be in this portion of my life right now. So that was probably my best personal artistic moment this year, where I just felt like the supreme happiest. So that's what I wanted to share.
I love it.
Thank you.
That is great.
So what about you? Favorite art highlight of 2019?
All right. So for me, this is my big one because it was completely unexpected, and it was just like this personal moment that I had, and no one else was there to appreciate or understand. I feel like that makes it more special. Was seeing the Rauschenberg piece in a random fucking restaurant.
That's crazy.
I don't know how much I talked about this on the podcast, but
wait a minute. But
okay,
do it again. Yeah, it's important.
All right, Rauschenberg is one of my favorite artists. He's an American artist. He also has one of the most beautiful love stories with Jasper Johns. So that's a little bit. We have to. I feel like we need like a Jasper Johns / Rauschenberg episode at some point because it's beautiful. But I love his work, all of it, from his collaging to his big weird paintings. I just love him. And I was in a restaurant, actually the Liberty Bar on Alamo Street. I think it's where it was at. Google Alamo Street. Google Liberty Bar and you'll see it there. And I'd never seen this section before, and I looked up and I saw, I'm like, ooh, I really like that piece. And I was like, I wonder who did that. That's very interesting. And I look on the bottom corner and it says Rauschenberg. And I was like, that can't be right. There's no way it's just in this random restaurant. So I asked the waitress, and I was like, okay, this is going to be weird, and you probably have no idea what I'm talking about, but is that a real Rauschenberg? And she's like, I don't know. Let me go ask my manager. And she comes back and she's like, yeah, my manager actually has her degree in art history. And she's like, yeah, that's a real Rauschenberg. I guess that's awesome. People who own this building own a lot of artwork, and they do collaborations with the McNay. And she's like, yeah, that's apparently a legit Rauschenberg. She did not seem as excited as I was, and I lost my shit. But it was great. It was like a pencil drawing that was like collage. It was really cool. And it also confirmed like my love of Rauschenberg, that I was like, okay, I don't like Rauschenberg just because I like Rauschenberg.
No, you saw one in the naked wild and you were like, boom, I love that thing.
Yes. It felt like my love was true. Like if it was a test, I would have passed. And he maybe would have given it to me as being like, you are a true fan. He wouldn't do that. He would.
I would have given you an A though.
Ah, thanks.
Because we're co-hosts and besties.
That's true. I love you, man. So
I love you, man.
So that is my highlight. I am looking forward to more artistic wonders in 2020, and a really weird. I think it's going to be a weird year. Real
awkward. I like it.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you for listening to another episode of Prismacast, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Goodbye.
Bye. Would like to take a moment to thank our audio tech William Higginson for mastering this episode. A huge thank you to Joseph McDade for our podcast track, Drifting Corners. And thank you for having listened to another rousing podcast from Kris and Michael Kay. We were thankful to have you for another week, and if you hit that subscribe button, we'll catch you in another 2. If you have thoughts to share, you can email us at prismacasters@gmail.com. To follow our visual show notes, search out Prismacasters on Instagram. And to get general updates, view content, and otherwise just get our cosmic lowdown, visit our website at www.prismacast.com. Don't forget to both rate and review our burgeoning show wherever you found our podcasts so others can find us. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.